Hi, I'm Michael and I work as a software engineer at Neo4j. I'm a big Java and testing fan and I love cycling. And yes, this is a custom Neo4j cycling jersey. On my Twitter, I post both types of content, Java and cycling. Over the weekend, I was wondering if I maybe should also become a food influencer with pictures such as this and that. I do have some amazing online friends. Alina here suggested Instagram for that. Then came Kevin along and suggested TikTok. Later that day, Tim reminded me that I actually promised I should do a talk in cycling gear. Well, it has not come to that yet. But here I am, and so today my food tip is this. Replace your stupid protein bars with some proper bread, put some peanut butter on it and some cheese, wrap it up in some wax paper, stuff it in your cycling jersey, and off you go. To me, it tastes much better, it's cheaper, and provides long-lasting energy. So, and now for the Java fun stuff. At Neo4j, I work mostly at Spring Data Neo4j, and we do use test containers a lot. We have a couple of integration tests, more like a lot of them, and we want to make them as fast as possible. For that purpose, we do use reusable test containers, and I'm going to show you in a couple of code snippets what reusable test containers are. A unit test that uses test containers in a non-reusable fashion. The test container, here a Neo4j container, is declared as a static final class member, and it is initialized with the add container annotation that comes from the JUnit Jupyter test containers library. I take the time in a very crude way, just so that we see how long the whole initialization of the class took. The test just checks for the presence of a custom procedure. I can run the test and we will see that it will take roughly about 13 to 15 seconds on my machine. It brings up the whole test container instance, installs the plugin I'm testing for. The test runs successfully in roughly 13 seconds. Is already a bit annoying if your code maybe just doesn't work as expected on the first time and you try to repeat this over and over. In bigger test scenarios, when you have many of those containers, it maybe take a lot of time. So how can we do better than this? Is that we're already using a static container instance, meaning that this instance is reused across all test methods. It's the downside that your test data needs to be independent from each other, but that's a separate problem. To make this faster, we check in your home directory if we have a .testcontainers properties files, and what we need to find in there is that flag that test containers we use should be enabled. It is on my machine. Next step is actually removing the add container instance like this. The add container annotation would take care of me for starting and shutting down that container. Now that it is gone, I need to write this on my own. I will do so in a before all method. I'm going to call this startup Neo4j. And a startup is pretty simple. I just can use start and that's it. Next thing is we want to enable the reuse of that container, and there's a builder method that's called with reuse, and we set this to true, and that's about all we have to do. Now when I run this, we will see that the first time this is run, it will take a bit of time, like the 13 seconds we've seen before. Again, it took 13 seconds. But what's happening is, when I go back to the terminal, you see that there's still a Neo4j container running. So we run this a second time, and the whole test takes way under a second. So, and with that, you have gotten one proper nutrition tip for myself and learned how to make faster integration tests with Java and test containers. Happy coding and have a good week.